Happy Halloween. Hi. It's not actually Halloween, but happy Halloween anyways. I probably won't see most of you tomorrow on Halloween, so, I mean, you can come by my house, but it's going to be probably snowing or something. I don't know. But happy Halloween. Thanks. For those of you who don't know what this is, give me just a moment to explain what this costume is. So, in the year 1987, a movie came out called The Princess Bride. Oh, yeah. It was based on a book from the year 1973. So, a movie from the year 1987, super relevant costume for 2019, right? Super relevant. So this movie, The Princess Bride, is, you know, a great movie, but it has these two words in the title, princess and bride, which make it seem like not a movie that I would like. I mean, I've seen princess movies, I've seen bride movies. Not my thing. I mean, I've seen Princess Diaries 1 and 2, and I've seen Bride Wars, and Anne Hathaway is A, and I don't really care about either of those things. So, a movie that is both princess and bride, like, does not seem like my kind of thing. Nevertheless, it is a fantastic movie. It has awesome action, awesome adventure, awesome comedy, awesome characters, and most importantly, awesome sword fights. Most important thing. So my costume is of one of those characters in the movie. Inigo Montoya. Thank you. He is the Spaniard sword fighter. He's on a lifelong mission to avenge his father, who died. He was the blacksmith and a fencer, and it's just, I'm not going to spoil the movie for you if you haven't seen it, but he's a fantastic hilarious character. I love him. He's great at sword fighting. I wasn't allowed to bring my sword today because Paige said no swords. I know, I'm upset, just as upset as you guys, but I probably would have accidentally stabbed somebody. But anyways, 10 out of 10 would recommend this movie to all y'all. So, what does that have to do with tonight's talk, though? Not a whole lot, honestly. I tried to make it work, and there's not a whole reason that I can tie this costume into tonight's talk. Well, I mean, I might be able to. I'll figure it out. Maybe we'll see. Who knows? I don't know. It might not connect to this at all. But tonight's talk is about. It's the second week of this Haunted series that we're in. Last week we talked about haunted by doubt, and this theme haunted kind of means, you know, what is something that is following you around in life? What is something that is like pursuing you that you just can't seem to get rid of, that's holding on to you? And last week we talked about doubt. And so we talked about what doubt looks like. And doubt looks like a few things that we talked about last week, like needing hard proof for everything, like not being self-confident, like always being indecisive, like needing approval from everyone. And that's what doubt is, and being haunted by doubt is like all that on steroids. It means like not being able to trust even your best friends that they're telling you the truth. Always spending all your time worrying about little tiny details like which essay prompt to pick. Shout out to Annalise for that example. What'd you get? Oh, no. Oh, well. But being haunted by doubt is like those things following you continually in your whole life, and not just letting it be a one-time occurrence, but that kind of thing happening day after day, week after week, year after year, and not being able to deal with it. And we even looked at one of Jesus' own disciples, one of his best friends, Thomas, who struggled with this, and his struggle with doubt to trust his friends and to trust Jesus. He doubted his own friends who he'd spent 3 years with, and when they said, hey, Jesus is back, and he's back, he didn't trust them. And he didn't even trust that Jesus has the power to do that. And we looked at how to deal with self-doubt, and that if we trust that God is good, and if we trust that God knows what he's doing, then we should trust that God is good and knows what he's doing in our lives. If we trust that God can make glorious things happen in our world, then we should be able to trust God to make glorious things happen in our lives too. See, doubt is a big thing, but the thing is, God is even bigger. It follows us, even when it follows us around our whole lives, God follows us around our whole lives too. And so God is bigger than doubt. And God is bigger than the other part of our mini-series this week too, fear. So tonight we'll be talking about fear. And fear is what we feel when we know that danger is close. When we know that there's incoming danger. I don't think I need to spend the next 20 minutes talking about what fear is to you guys. I think you probably get the general concept of what fear is. So I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of definitions. But you feel fear when, you're on the top of a roller coaster because there's a danger that you could fall off. You feel fear when you have to get in front of a giant crowd and speak because there is a danger that you could get made fun of for it. You feel fear when there's a big scary dog running at you, barking and growling because there's a danger that you could get bit. Well, on that last one actually, sometimes I don't feel fear. See, sometimes you feel fear when there's a big scary dog running at you and because you know it's going to bite you, but sometimes you don't. See, I have some good friends, Colin and Kaylee Purcell, and they have a cat, and they have a dog, a cat named Maui, and a dog named Summer. That's them. I couldn't find a picture of Summer without a bandana, so I mean, you get what you get.
Is that what scares you, is the bandana?
So, that's the scary part, yeah. But, see, I'm not sure what it is about me specifically, but both of those animals love to bite me. They really love to bite me. And it's in a playful way, not like I'm going to cut your throat way. But when I went over to their house to feed them, I came in with a perfectly dry flannel, and after 10 minutes of being in there, my left sleeve was completely soaked with slobber from Summer biting me the whole time. But I don't know what it is, but they just love to bite me. And here's the thing. I'm not scared. I don't feel fear when they try to bite me. I'm not scared of this, big old dog or this cat with daggers for teeth and claws. I'm not scared. Why not? I don't feel fear because I don't feel like I'm in any danger with them. I mean, there are dogs the exact same size as Colin and Kaylee's dog Summer, that if it was chasing after me, barking and growling at me, I would feel fear. I would feel like there is a danger to me. But not with Summer. And why is that? Experience and trust. Experience and trust. See, I've experienced them before. I've experienced Summer at biting me before, and I haven't been hurt, so why should I be scared now? I have trust that, Summer and Maui will stop if I make them stop, so why should I feel fear now? I have experience with them, and I trust that I'm safe. Experience and trust. See, there are some things that, are actually going to be scary in our lives, that we're actually going to feel like we're in danger. We have lots of fears. Fears of being alone or forgotten. Fears of physical harm. Fears of ridicule. Fears of failure. I'm saying this word fear a lot, so I'm saying feels. I don't know. But fears of failure and ridicule. And real fears, these real fears feel like they're chasing us down, like a big scary dog trying to bite you. So, what do? What do we do when there are these real fears, like failure, ridicule, physical harm, that are chasing us down that we can't seem to shake off? What do? So I'm about to read a passage in a little bit down the road from 1 Samuel, but it's a little bit weird out of context, so I'm going to give you the context. We all know David and Goliath David. I'm not sure which one he is, but that's his buddy Jonathan. And David, he was pretty popular after, killing a giant. Because he killed the giant and then he went on to be a really good warrior and all that, so all the people love him. And he even became BFFs with the king's son, Jonathan. I want to say that Jonathan's the one on the right because he's crying more, but I don't know. It's just a really fun picture I found on the internet, and I wanted to put it up there. But that's David and Jonathan, best of buddies. They would do all kinds of things together. They would, stay up late and talk together, and play Super Smash Bros. Together, and talk and everything. And because they were just good buddies, and everybody loved David because he was a great warrior and all that. Everybody except for King Saul, who was Jonathan's dad. Everybody but Jonathan's dad, King Saul, loved David. And he decided that the proper way to fix this, because the king should be the most popular, not some random giant killer, he decided the proper way to fix this was to, murder him. Yeah. This is where, Halloween, so the lights flash and there's lightning sound effects and all that. I didn't get that set up in time, it's fine. So Saul decided to murder him. And because he's a king, King Saul, he decided to do this, and he, told all of his people, and Jonathan got wind of it. Jonathan heard about this and decided to give David a heads up so that David could flee. Side note, quick shout out to Jonathan for warning his friend that his dad was going to try and kill him. If any of you have a dad that's trying to kill your friend, go ahead and give him a warning. So keep that in mind. So David took Jonathan's advice and fled. David took some of his buddies, because he had lots of buddies because he was popular, and he ran out of town. And then he went town to town, and then cave to cave, hiding. And I'm going to stop here for a second. He's being hunted by the king and a bunch of armies. And David is hiding in a cave. David is on the land. He's on the run. So what do you think is going through David's mind here? I want some answers from the crowd. What is going through David's mind? He's hiding in a cave.
Andrew, does he have fear?
He has fear, that's for sure. He has some doubts, probably. What else? What is going through David's head? Think he's feeling any fear? Yeah. Does he feel like he's in danger at all, you think? Yeah. So of course David felt fear. Of course David felt like he was in danger. But the thing is, David's clearly in danger here. But the thing is, there's something special about David. Something special that makes him like the person that everybody points to as a man after God's own heart. There's something special about David. And it is his trust and experience with God. David has exceptional trust and exceptional experience with God. And later down the line, David was writing a bunch of songs and poems and all that kind of stuff. And he wrote this one that probably most of you have heard, Psalms 23, that I think is probably about this situation right here. I mean, he's in a pretty dark spot, but we'll just read the psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass. He leads me beside quiet waters. He makes me strong again. He leads me in the way of living right with himself, which brings honor to his name. Yes, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not be afraid of anything, because you are with me. You have a walking stick with which to guide and one with which to help. These comfort me. You are making a table of food ready for me in front of those who hate me. You have poured oil on my head. I have everything I need. For sure, you will give me goodness and loving kindness all the days of my life. Then I will live with you in your house forever. The valley of the shadow of death. See, most of you guys have heard that phrase probably, that verse probably, but you gotta miss the phrase, the valley of the shadow of death. That's a sick phrase. That's cool. When I think that, I think of video games, whenever Zelda or Skyrim, when you're playing and you go into a new place, like the plate, like the title of the place, the name of the place goes up on the top, right? Yeah. And you walk into some little village, and it's like Bungalow Village. And you're like, oh, what a nice village! Wow. See, if I were playing Zelda and I'm walking into some valley, and the phrase "the Valley of the Shadow of Death" pops up, I am turning around and pressing the sprint as fast as you can button, and I'm getting out of there. I'm not staying in the Valley of the Shadow of Death. No, sir. See, the kind of thing that you have to go through to come up with the phrase, the Valley of the Shadow of Death, I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous. You'd have to be like hiding in a cave, being hunted by your best friend's dad, and like a gazillion people who also want to murder you. That'd be like crazy. I mean, that's what David's doing right now in the story. So, he's in the Valley of the Shadow of Death. David's in a dark place here. David has ample reason to feel fear here. David is literally being chased across the country by fear itself in the shape of an army and in the shape of the king actively trying to murder him. David should, by all accounts, feel fear, right? But he is in the Valley of the Shadow of Death. But what does it say, if you go to the next slide, what does it say immediately after the phrase, the Valley of the Shadow of Death?
You are with me. I will not be afraid because you are with me.
I will not be afraid because you are with me. Thank you. Even when you're in the Valley of the Shadow of Death, the scariest place, the worst place, the place where the most fear is, David's not afraid. Why? Because God is with him. He says, I will not be afraid because you are with me. David has every single reason to be afraid. But the thing is, David has experience with God, and he trusts God. David has experience with God when he fought Goliath, a literal giant. He has experience that God provides in the middle of that. David has trust that God is bigger and stronger than a king, bigger and stronger than an army. God is bigger than a boogeyman. And so now I'm going to go to 1 Samuel, where we pick up the story in the Bible. It's a little bit of a long read, but it's the story, and I want to read it from the Bible. So 1 Samuel 24, 1 through 4 says, after Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told, David's in the desert of En-Gedi. So David took 3,000 able-bodied men, 3,000 able-bodied men, that's a lot, from all Israel, and set out to look for David and his men near the crag of the wild goats. Not nearly as cool a name as Valley of the Shadow of Death, but it's okay.
Wait, what's a crag?
A crag's like a canyon, except not as big. He came to the sheep pens along the way. A cave was there, and Saul went in to relieve himself. David and his men were far back in the cave. That's crazy, right? Saul went into a cave, and there's like a gazillion caves around here. They're like a dime a dozen caves in this area, and Saul picked the one cave that that David and all of his men were in. Like, what a coincidence! Or a God thing. Then the men said, this is the day that the Lord spoke of when He said to you, I will give your enemy into your hands for you to deal with as you wish. Then David crept up unnoticed and cut a corner off Saul's robe. I mean, that takes guts. Go back. That takes guts. The person who is actively trying to kill you goes into a cave to take a tinkle, and you sneak up close enough, you get right next to him, close enough to cut his clothes. I mean, when I try to sneak up and put something on somebody's clothes, like a used name tag, I can never do it. I take off the name tag and I go to put it on my back, and they always catch me. I don't know what it is. But David's super sneaky. You have to have a lot of stealth, and also you got to have a lot of trust in God that, you're not going to get caught. And so the story continues in 5. Afterwards, David was conscience-stricken. I must practice that phrase. Conscience-stricken for having cut off a corner of his robe. He said to his men, the Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed. because God had literally told the Israelites, yeah, Saul should be the king. Saul is the king, so he is the master. So he's literally the master of the Lord's anointed. Or lay my hand on him, hasn't hurt him. For he is the anointed of the Lord. With these words, David sharply rebuked his men and did not allow them to attack Saul. And Saul left the cave and went on his way. Then David went out of the cave and called out to Saul, "My lord, my king!" When Saul looked behind him, David bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. And then he said to Saul, "Why do you listen when men say, 'David is bent on harming you'? This day you have seen with your own eyes how the Lord delivered you into my hands in that cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, 'I will not lay a hand on my Lord because he is the Lord's anointed.' See, my father, look at this piece of your robe in my hand. I cut off the corner of your robe, but did not kill you. See that there is nothing in my hand to indicate that I am guilty of wrongdoing or rebellion. I have not wronged you, but you are hunting me down to take my life. May the Lord judge between you and me, and may the Lord avenge the wrongs you have done to me. But my hand will not touch you. As the old saying goes, from evildoers come evil deeds. So my hand will not touch you. Against whom has the king of Israel come out? Who are you pursuing? A dead dog? A flea? May the Lord be our judge and decide between us. May he consider my cause and uphold it. May he vindicate me by delivering me from your hand." So David was in a cave, and he decided to not continue to hide. He decided to stop running and confront what was chasing him. In this case being, he was actually hiding and they were actually chasing him. And David decided to stop running and confront it. See, there are things that we run from day after day after day, week after week. Things in our lives that reasonable people should fear. Real things that normal people should hide from. See, like an army is coming after you. The thing a normal person would do is to hide. Messing up a speech or a presentation in front of your whole school, that's definitely going to make fun of you if you mess up. That's a thing that a normal person would fear. But the thing is, we aren't called to be normal people. We're not called to be normal people. We're not supposed to act the way that normal people would. And that's because of one major factor. Because we are not alone. God is with us. You are not alone in this fight against these fears chasing you, these fears haunting you. God is fighting alongside you in your fight against fear. See, these fears, may seem like a huge ferocious dog that is coming, growling, trying to bite you right now. But it can begin to feel a little bit more like, Summer calling Kaylee's dog when you have God on your side. When you have experience with God, when you have trust that God is powerful and that God is with you, that is what gives us the confidence. That is what gives us the hope to stop running from our fears and to confront it, to come out of whatever cave we're hiding in and face down what is chasing us. See, after David made that big old speech, King Saul apologizes and stops chasing him. Stops trying to, murder him and tells all of his 3,000 able-bodied men to also stop trying to murder him. That fear that was chasing David, the danger that was haunting David, the thing that was running him down day after day after day, the valley of the shadow of death that David was stuck in, it disappears. See, I'm not going to say that all your fear is instantly going to stop the second you start, loving Jesus. I'm not saying that it's going to stop being an emotion that you have. I'm not going to say that the next time you see a scary clown pop out of a trash can, you're not going to poop your pants. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that whatever's chasing you down right now, whatever big fear is haunting you, whatever has been hunting you, whatever's been going after you day after day, whatever fear that is, whether it's loneliness, whether it's failure, whether it's insecurity or public speaking or abandonment or needles or whatever, now is the time to face it. It's time to stop running. Now is the time to stop hiding in that cave. Now is the time to stop living your life in that valley of the shadow of death. Now is the time to face it. Now is the time to confront that fear. Because the thing is, it's not just a battle of you versus loneliness. It's not just a battle of you versus depression. It's not just a battle of you versus needles or something. It's not just it's not just you. You're not alone. It is you and God versus whatever it is. It is you and God versus that fear. Because whenever you confront that fear, you're not doing it by yourself. You're not doing it alone. You have the creator of the stars and the clouds and the sun and trees and everything on your side. The creator of everything is with you in your fight against public speaking. And that's not to say that, that's not a big fear. Like, that it's not a thing that is actually, a big deal. I'm just saying that it's not as powerful as God. I'm saying, like, whatever your fear is like a cyborg ninja or whatever. And, like, I might be able to take on that cyborg ninja by myself, but, like, God would be, like, Godzilla plus, like, plus Superman plus Hulk plus, like, Inigo Montoya. See, I tied it in at the end. All together times a billion. And I think that wins against, the lousy ninja cyborg or whatever. It's not even close. God is bigger. God is stronger. Our God is greater than whatever we're facing. So we just have to learn to trust that God's power. We have to learn that God's power is bigger. We have to experience God. We have to experience what God can do. And then we can confront those fears that have been haunting us. Will you pray with me? God, thank you for today. Thank you for these wonderful, awesome people that are surrounding me, that we would be able to confront whatever fears are in our lives. That the big fears of the abandonment and fear of divorce, that we would be able to face those, and we would be able to face any little fears along the way, God. God, please be with us so that we have experiences with you, so that we can learn to trust you more. God, be with us as we try and give our lives to you, and that any fears that are chasing us, haunting us, hunting us down, that we would be able to stop running, that we would be able to stop living in that valley of the shadow of death, and that we would be instead able to come out of whatever cave we're hiding in and confront them, that we would be able to look at them and see that they are nothing compared to your power.